Kit Kats can read. Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome to another video. And in today's video I am going to be doing my review and my book talk on Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas. So this is the second book that is in the Throne of Glass series. This was actually also a reread for me, however I completely forgot everything that literally happened in this book. I only remembered one thing, the rest I forgot. So it was like I was reading it almost for the first time again, except I was listening to the audiobook from Audible, and you know, it was a different experience listening to the audiobook version of it, and I found that I thoroughly enjoyed it. So the first half of this review is going to contain the non-spoilers. I just want to say beforehand, because it is a review and a discussion, people will be commenting down below, so if you haven't yet read this book, I would suggest staying away from reading the comments down below. You're more than welcome to still comment, of course, if you comment anything that you want to know about the book, or if you want to read it and all that, but don't read the comments because it might spoil you on it, because I'm going to be discussing the spoilery parts of this book. But I will let you know in the video once the non-spoiler part is over and once the spoiler part is going to begin, so don't worry about that. So in honesty guys, because this is a sequel, it's really hard to sort of explain a synopsis of this book without spoiling, so I'm not really going to give a synopsis because of so much happening in this book. It's crazy. So all I will say is it is still based on Celaena Sardothien, and you've got like the other characters, Dorian and Chaol still, and Nehemia's in this as well. There are various new characters introduced as well. There's Mort, who is an enchanted door knocker, and there's just like other evil people as well. Keltane is in this as well. But yeah, you know what, it was more adventurous, more entertaining. So much actually happened in this book, and this book only has about 418 pages, and so much happened. I literally have so many notes on every little bit that happened in this book, and it's just crazy that all of that happened in this. So it's just full of action, so much happens with it. And still, what I like about Sarah J Maas is she keeps it short, clipped, chipped, and her chapters are really nice and short. They flow into each other. She knows just how to end the chapters well, that just to keep you going. I found it really hard to continue listening to the audiobook when I was like, you know what, I have to listen to a segment each day, otherwise I would just end up listening to this audiobook within like one day straight, and that would just be absolutely crazy. So I attempted to spread it, and I somehow managed to do it, restrained myself. But you know, it's such a fantastic sequel that I enjoy this probably more than the first book, just because of everything that's happened. And also in this you see different sides to Celaena. She's got quite a bit of a dark side to her in this novel, but you also see her good side as well. You see how she will avenge people and how she does put her heart into it, puts her heart before herself in order for her to assassinate. And you know what, I love Celaena in this. You also learn more about Celaena's past, more about her. In the first book she is really constricted and hidden. She doesn't reveal anything pretty much, and this book you'll learn so much more. So if you've read the first book and you're like, oh, you know what, I don't really know much about Celaena, well, you will find out about her definitely in this book, especially the ending to this book, which is such a cliffhanger ending that I really honestly want to read the next book. But I'm going to try and hold off. I'm going to try and hold off and do my best as much as I can. So all in all guys, for you non-spoilery people, I love this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 Kit Kats. I really recommend it. It was a fantastic sequel. It definitely lived up to like the second book syndrome. It beat it, kicked its ass. Even Celaena jumped out the book and was like, hey, you know what, this book's better. Go away, Throne of Glass. Like, this book is so good. I feel like it's just going to get better and better with every book now, and that's kind of like what I want to get out of this series. So I'm really excited. I'm glad that I did give this a reread. It's just refreshed my thoughts. I've got all my notes now so that I can just go on to reading Heir of Fire when I go around to it, and I loved it. It's awesome. I recommend this sequel to anybody. So if you're still not like sure if you want to begin the series, begin it just so that you can get to this book, because I feel like it's only going to get better from now on. So for those of you that haven't read it yet, I suggest you go now, pick up Throne of Glass if you haven't done already, and then go get this book, because it's going to be one hell of a journey. But I'm now going to delve into the spoilers. I don't want to spoil you guys, so just bye. Welcome, spoilery people, to the spoiled section of the book talk. This is where I'm going to talk about everything that happened in the book and what I thought about it. So first chapter to the book, I was hooked. What a great start. Straight into it, Celaena is like assassinating somebody. Wow, okay, what? So she's now the assassin of the king, and she, in this book, is told by the king that she has to assassinate every person that the king gives the name to. So he's going to give her one name at a time, and she has to assassinate them, and she's been given a time limit to do each and every one of them. So in this book we meet Roland, who is Prince Dorian's cousin, and he is a bit of a ladies' man, and he's just really sort of, he's a jerk, basically. He's a jerk, but we don't really get to see too much of him in this book, so I'm hoping that we get to see a lot more of him in the other books. Obviously if you've read this book and you've read the other books, then you will know, but I want more of Roland. But if you have read it and you do know if there's more Roland, please do let me know down in the comments. Do we get more of Roland? Because I kind of like the bad guys. I have a thing for the bad guys, and I would like to see more of Roland. So then we have Celaena explaining exactly how she is doing the assassinations, that she actually isn't in fact assassinating people. She is cheating. She isn't killing anybody. She gives them the choice if they want to die or they can flee, and then she can find a body that pretty much nearly enough looks like them. That's from like the sick bay of like patients that have died, and then as long as she can get a part of them, so like if it's a ring or something, just to prove, and then all she has to do is just bring like the head back to the king. And I thought this is a great way that she's explaining to us, the reader, how she's doing it straight off, and we're like, Celaena, you sneaky little thing, you. So Celaena then somehow sees this mysterious smoky beast, and she goes down to the tomb to try and get answers. And this is where we meet Mort, who is the enchanted door locker. Now Mort, I love him. He's so sarcastic. He is just so funny, and he's actually one of my favourite characters from the book. Hands up, anybody else who loved Mort. And then we have Prince Dorian, who's getting totally jelly at Celaena and Chaol because they are looking at each other in that really loving way. They're having this banter, they're connecting, and he is just like, and it's just like, it's just so funny, like, just how kind of like childish in a way it is, like how jealous he is, but it's kind of cute in that way as well. So Celaena then visits Kaltain in jail, and she wants to know more about Roland, and she ends up giving her cloak to Kaltain. She discovers that the Duke has been coming and punishing her, hitting her, and the Night Guard is just turning his head away. He's completely blind to it and letting it happen when it shouldn't be happening. So obviously Celaena feels a little bit sorry for her, which is why she gives her the cloak. And Kaltain is obviously, she's quite frightened. She seems a lot more timid than she was in the first bit because of this. She's definitely like weakened. And then before Celaena leaves, she says to Celaena, something is coming and I am to greet it. So that it just sort of has that mysterious feel to it, like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like she's sensing something, like what's going on. So then Celaena visits Archer, who is her next person that she has to assassinate. However, when she meets Archer, who is actually an old friend of hers, she discovers that he saying that there's like another group that is actually against the king, and that he's got nothing to do with it, she should be following them. So he leads Celaena to Davis's office, where she finds like some word marks, she finds this book, and then Davis comes up there and she ends up having to kill him. He slashes her with this poison on the blade, so she ends up being poisoned, and so she runs back to the castle, and the first place that she can think of is Chaol's little office place. And it's just adorable how she feels like she is more safe there. It's the first place she wanted to go to, and Chaol just went straight to her and was like, babe, I'm gonna save you, mate. So then Celaena goes down into like the library. She discovers there's some sort of catacombs underneath the library, and then finds that there's this big iron door. And she sort of says, hang on a minute, why are all the other doors completely different and this is the only iron one? So there's something mysterious about that. She then goes on to explain to Nehemia exactly how she's assassinating as well. So she just pours it all onto her best friend, which is great. I'm glad that she's bringing other people into it. So then there's this singer that is in the court. She is called Rena, and then we see that she goes out the back and she is executed for singing a song that is to do with magic. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this was actually fully investigated, why people, you know, whether they went into sort of being like, hang on a minute, what happened to Rena, or whether it's just completely silenced about it. So I just want to know if anything kind of happened about it. I don't know if I skimmed past that or not, but I'm feeling a bit like, hang on a minute, like she just got killed. Is anybody not worried about her? So then Celaena shows Nehemia the tomb, and then there's also the anniversary of Celaena's parents. I think it's the death, and she ends up going somewhere because it's obviously one of those emotional days. Chaol finds out, he goes to see her and is with her, and then they have like a meal together, and they like spend their time together, and Celaena and Chaol actually end up sleeping together. So, and it's Celaena's first time, and you know, it's pretty neat that they've just sort of find that comfort in each other, and I think it's pretty damn adorable. So Celaena then finds out that Nehemia and Archer are working together against a plan to rebel against the king, and this she finds out because Chaol is being kidnapped. And then whilst this is happening, she discovers that there was a threat against Nehemia that she wasn't exactly told about, and so Archer sends some like soldiers or people to the castle, but he reckons it's going to be too late. So Celaena rushes back to the castle only to discover that Nehemia and her bodyguards have been killed. So obviously this is a very, very sad moment in the story. I myself was upset. I'm upset the second time round. I probably was upset the first time round as well, but damn, Nehemia was like my best friend too. I loved her, and she was Celaena's like first best friend pretty much. She just confided in her. She was, oh, do you know what? I felt so bad for Celaena, and I still do. Like, just throughout the whole book, Celaena was just distraught with it. Like, how can anybody live with that? And I'm just like, oh my god, I completely understand like how Celaena just changed and everything, but I'm just like, oh my god, I feel so sorry, like that was such a sad moment in the story. So then Celaena turns really badass. She is dark. She goes on to try and find out who killed Nehemia. She discovers that it was Grave, who we met in the first book, who was one of the contestants, and then so she goes to Grave and she's like, who hired you? And she discovers like who did that. So Celaena ends up killing Grave. Dorian then finds out about Celaena and Chaol. He says like, obviously you two have a thing, like it's pretty obvious, like who doesn't see that? So then we discover that Celaena has written a will to Chaol that when she dies, or if she dies, or all that all of her money, her assets, her house, anything that she owes is going to go straight to Chaol. And this is where we see that Chaol really was her everything before he let her down by not telling her any of the information, anything about this threat to Nehemia. She saw him as like a safety blanket. Celaena and Dorian then explain stuff to each other, and I think this is great because yet again Sarah J Maas is doing a great thing to the reader. The readers are then learning things as well. They're learning about Celaena, they're learning about Dorian having this supposed magic, which I think is pretty damn cool. So Celaena then speaks of the King's Ring and how he might somehow have some sort of control over the beasts with it, which just then goes on to my suspicions being right from the first book, that the king, it always comes down to the king. And we find out that Kaltain has been taken by the Duke to be married to him, and then Celaena discovers an anagram of where the first word key is. So then we discover that the king has found the first word key, and we are unsure if he has the second and the third, as there are only 3. Dorian then wakes to find the first king of Ardalan has woken him and told him that he needs to go and save Celaena before she ends up opening this portal. So Celaena is down down in the catacomb and she discovers that Archer is there, and they end up battling each other. And then in the midst of this, the beast comes out, this devil beast comes out, and so Archer flees in that moment in time. So then Dorian finds Chaol, they go to Celaena, and then Fleetfoot ends up jumping into the portal. Chaol jumps after Fleetfoot to save him, and then Celaena jumps after Chaol, because there's just like two things that she loves has just gone through this portal. Now whilst Celaena goes through this portal, all of her features change to some elfish features, and Chaol is just like, what is going on? Like, Celaena just looks completely different. Her ears are all pointy. Celaena has Damaris the sword. She stabs it into the ground. It ends up like breaking the floor, which then the devil beast ends up running off. And so she's like, come on, Chaol, Fleetfoot, let's go back through the portal. So they jump through the portal, and they're like, we need to close it. Celaena's like, I don't have enough power. I've lost all of my strength. Looks to Dorian, who, you know, has the magic, and is like, can you do it? He's like, what do I do? And they're like, look, all I need is for you to do this, I can do the rest, sort of thing. And so they end up closing this portal. So they're back through the portal now, and as Celaena discovers that Archer flees, she's like, I'm gonna go after him, I'm gonna kill him. So she goes after him, and they have this little talk, and she ends up tricking Archer. She's like, you know what, you go and run with you guys, it's fine, like, I forgive you. And he's just sort of got this look of triumph, like, yeah, you know what, I fooled you twice. And then the very last minute, she just turns around and she stabs him in the heart. And so the next moment, she obviously, as he is the person that she's meant to assassinate anyway, she ends up assassinating him, which is quite ironic enough. So she brings the head to the king, and the king's obviously like, okay. So then Celaena then tells Chaol that her great-grandmother was Fae. So then the captain of the guard, Chaol, he goes to the king and he's like, I've got this plan. Why doesn't Celaena go to Wendlyn to kill the king and the heir, and then like get rid of all like their sort of battle stations, and then we can take it over, and then whilst it's in peril we can finally get our country back. And the king's like, you know what, that's a brilliant idea. So then Celaena gets into it. She's like, yeah, you know what, I'll do anything for you, king, because obviously, you know, to have your freedom, blah blah. So that's her next plan of action. So then Celaena's packing up. She asks Dorian to look after her dog whilst she's away, and then a bit later on she gets a visit from Elena, and she's basically sort of saying, like, she's comforting her. She's like, you know what, go do this job, go to it, because, you know, there'll be like something of it when you go there, pretty much. So then Celaena tells Chaol about everything, about the word marks, about the king having like the first, maybe like possibly two, and that she would have investigated more, but obviously she's now got to go and do this task. So she gives the Eye of Elena necklace to Chaol. She says, please wear it, it will protect you. And it's basically kind of like a hint of like, I can't be here to help you, but maybe you can try and investigate into it as well, like sneakily. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. She's going off to do something. Maybe Chaol will do some sneaky sideline thing for her whilst she's over there. So then Celaena whispers something into Chaol's ear, and she's sort of like, this will explain to you sort of some stuff, and then she goes off. So later on, Chaol goes and researches it. What she whispered into his ear was a date, not a year, it was just like a date. And he goes, looks into it, and he discovers about this lost princess, that like the parents died and all that. And then he just like notices and adds it up that Celaena is this lost queen. So she is the lost queen of Terrasen, and this is how the book ends. And for me, that is a massive cliffhanger. How can you not want to carry on after finding that Celaena is not just this assassin, she's this lost princess, she's this heir, she is Fae, she is so much we have discovered about Celaena from this book, that she's more than what she seems. She's like the diamond in the rough. She's so amazing, and I honestly cannot wait to continue on with this series just to see what's going to happen next, because we just discovered so much about Celaena that we need to know more. I need to know more. So that's it guys for my review and book talk on Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please do give me a thumbs up if you have. Please do comment down below anything that will honestly help me. But I hope you have enjoyed it all the same. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic day wherever you are. Keep smiling, keep reading and be happy. And I'll see all of you wonderful, awesome people in my next video. Bye!